Hi, it's Jen with tipresource.com, and today I'm going to share with you my light wheat homemade bread recipe. Now, I shared the recipe on Tip Resource in the past, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to do a video, and this way I could tell you about some of the tips and tricks about making homemade bread. It usually only takes me about 3 minutes to make bread because I get my ingredient packets together in advance, but I'll show you about that in a minute. But first of all, I just want to tell you about the ingredients, and you're going to hear it beep in a minute because I have some fresh bread coming out of the oven. I made 5 loaves of bread today is what I did. I just take one day and I make a lot of bread at one time because it's easier for me. So let me give you the ingredients. They're nice and simple. It's 1 cup of warm water, 2 tablespoons of oil, there's 1.5 teaspoons of salt, there's 3 tablespoons of sugar or honey. I like to use honey because I like the honey wheat flavor. The next thing is 2 tablespoons of dry milk, 1.5 cups of whole wheat flour, 1.5 cups of white bread flour. I use 4 teaspoons of gluten. You do not have to add this, but you can if you want, and it's pretty inexpensive from Walmart. It's about $2.97. Just gives the bread an extra fluffiness and a nice texture. And the last thing is your yeast. I'm going to use the fast rising yeast today. You don't have to use that. You can kind of use any type of yeast. So let me get started on how I assemble this. Okay, I'm using my bread machine. What I do is I let my bread machine do all of the work of making the dough. I then take it out of the bread machine and bake it in regular bread pans just because I like the shape, but it's not necessary to do that if you don't want to. But initially you're going to take 1 cup of water and you're going to warm it up so it's just slightly lukewarm. It helps activate the yeast. Now here's a tip for you. When using honey and oil, the best thing to do is use your oil first. The recipe calls for 2 tablespoons oil, so I'm going to use that first. And the reason why you do the oil first and add the honey next, because the oil will coat your measuring spoon and then the honey comes out really nice and easily. So now I'm going to do 3 tablespoons of honey. You can choose to do 3 tablespoons of sugar if you'd like. The reason why I'm doing it in this order is because the yeast likes to be activated by sugar. So I'm going to add my honey or sugar now with my yeast so it has that activation time. And the other thing is that you do not want to put your salt near your yeast. It will deactivate the yeast. So that's why I'm doing it in this order. So here's my packet of yeast. All right, so I have my sugar, water, oil, and yeast initially in the bottom of my bread pan. I'm going to begin to add my dry ingredients, which is 2 tablespoons of dry milk, 1.5 cups of white flour, 1.5 cups of wheat flour. If you want to use all white or all wheat, you're welcome to. It's just a matter of preference. Okay, I'm adding 4 teaspoons of gluten, and this is completely optional. It's not going to make a difference if you do not add it. I just like the texture that it gives the bread by using it. I'm adding my 1.5 teaspoons of salt at the very end. The reason why I'm doing that is it is keeping the salt away from my yeast because the salt will deactivate your yeast. I'm going to put on the dough cycle. It's going to make the dough for me. Once it beeps in an hour and a half, I'm going to take it out and let it do its second rising.